All right. Great win on Saturday night for this team and for the players, for the coaches. To be able to go on the road and play at night, and a night game on the road, and they had a good crowd there. They did. It was a good crowd, good atmosphere. A little bit of rain cooled it off a little bit, but all that aside, just happy for the kids and happy for the coaching staff to be able to rebound and go and get the win on Saturday night. We talked last week that game, the previous game was going to define us. We knew it would, and it was our choice of how it would define us. But now we've got to put another week together, and the most important thing for us right now is this bye week. We don't necessarily have an opponent on Saturday, but we've got a lot of work to do. The most important practice of the year was today. Now the most important practice will be tomorrow, on how our guys go out and attack that practice and work to get better. And I use the example of, it's always a good one to use the example when you have linemen sitting in front of you. But I asked them, asked them what they ate on Sunday, and it was all sorts of answers. I mean, I don't even want to say names. It might be, may or may not be partners with ours, but all sorts of pizzas and burgers and all sorts of things. I said, well, y'all hungry? Are you hungry again today? And they're like, heck yeah, I'm starving. So that's the point of it. What you ate yesterday doesn't fulfill you today, and the hunger we have to have each week, right, cannot be fueled by the previous week. And we had a hunger going into that game, a hunger to play the right way. We played with the right competitive discipline in the game. And when I say competitive discipline, I mean the discipline to compete for 60 minutes, and that's what they did. But we've got to have that same hunger going into this week. We have to attack this week the same way. We have to know what we're getting out of this week, what we're working on, what we're working to improve on, and clearly define those things to the players and the staff, so that we can then, once this week gets towards the end, then we can take a little time to continue to rest our bodies up and get ready to play Boston College in 2 weeks. So it's always a good analogy with young guys when you can use food. So we use that. Another thing is, I know there's been a lot of talk and things. I can't. Got home and turned on, getting ready to watch the game last night, and somebody on the TV is talking about our game, and I told the team it sounds like there's this big thing talking about the decisions that were made on their side of the ball that impacted the outcome of the game. But I told the kids and the team and the staff, I said, it was you guys that were on the field and chose to play that down as hard as you could. You chose to play that down like it was the only down you had to play. Right? If you listened to the noise, if you listened, if you looked at the scoreboard, if you saw the timeouts that we didn't have, and you saw the time on the clock, then if one person on that defense plays at 90% or even 95% on that last play, right, we don't get the outcome that we got, right? And then flip it around to go 75 yards and was it 22 seconds, I believe, 26 seconds to go that amount of time or that length of the field. Again, if one person did not play the way that they can, had not played hard, had not played with everything they have, just because of what the clock said or the scoreboard said, then we wouldn't have the outcome. So that's the way I look at it. Our guys were the ones that were on the field and chose to play the way you're supposed to play. And we challenged them to play for 60 minutes. We had to wash a stigma off of us that we had on this football team. And we went out and did that. So now it's about what follows up. It's about this week of preparation of the bye week, and then it's about the preparation next week for Boston College. So again, pleased to get a win. It was a outstanding win for this team, for the fans, for the administration, for everybody. But now it's on to the next, and we've got a lot of work to do. So with that, open with any questions.
I guess kind of what's the approach in terms of it's a balancing act when you have a bye week. You want to keep your team kind of in some kind of routine, but getting rest for guys, and do you work some of the kids maybe not in the like scout team guys, or kind of how do you approach this week, I guess?
Good on good. There's certain numbers we need to hit each day. It began yesterday with a lift and a team run, a 30-minute team run. We watched the film. Then today we went out in shoulder pads, helmets. Had probably, I think it was 20, 25 minutes of Indy to really work on fundamentals and techniques and the basics of football that we've got to get back to. Then we had, some competitive good-on-good 7-on-7 and 1-on-1 pass rush. Then we went to a corrections type period that is it was a 10-minute period of what offense and defense needed from the first 6 games. All right, so a certain blitz or a certain run scheme or certain things that we've had more than one hit on us. We went back and practiced through those versus the scouts. Then we had a long special teams period. Then we went to just a good-on-good competitive. Good-on-good. It was 1s versus 1s, 2s versus 2s. Had several racks of that. Then the 3s went out there and we did 3s versus 3s. Then we had a couple of competitive 2-minute situations, about an hour and 20 minutes on the field. And tomorrow we'll go about 2 hours and 10 minutes. Really the same model. Then Thursday we'll start to look at the opponent a little bit, but still have a good portion of that being good on good. To get ourselves better, but we'll hit those certain thresholds each day. If we hit those, the thing you don't want to do is lose conditioning. And the one thing I do believe we've done, we've been able to play fast in games. All right, our team plays. They look fresh for the most part in every game. So we want to keep that going. So we've got to make sure we don't lose conditioning, but at the same time get guys rested up, and that's where that time will come on Friday and Saturday for those guys to get rested up.
When you look at the secondary and watching the game, it seemed like there was more players around the receiver than maybe in some of the previous weeks. And Miami talked about, they weren't used to seeing some of the coverages that you threw at them. What was the preparation like to face a guy like Van Dyke?
Yeah, I mean, we put some tweaks in the coverages. Played some different coverages and different down and distances in parts of the field. So, it was really more about what we felt was the best thing for us to play by down and distance in the game and by field zone. So, if it was really, again, steered more at us than it was at Van Dyke. So, luckily he ended up getting, I guess, what'd you say, confused? So they were good change-ups.
Coach Key, third quarter, maybe you already spoken to this, pardon me if I'm asking a repetitive question. Third quarter, you have going forward on 4th down, 4th and 2 or 3 to go. I think there's a procedure penalty, and you obviously stayed the course and scored the touchdown. But was there any hesitation after that penalty? Moved you to I think it was 4th and 7 or 8 at that point. Third quarter when Haynes ran it in. Was there any hesitation to change that call after the penalty?
No, I mean, forgive me, I don't remember exactly which one. I didn't think there was a 4th down. I thought there was a third and 4 that we handed the ball to Jamal, and he scored on a run. At that point in the game, the way our defense was playing, and a lot of these things, as I've spoke before, we game plan out through the week how we're going to be aggressive on 4th downs and not on 4th downs, as far as touchdowns versus field goals. And then when you get to the game, a lot of it comes down to how the defense is playing, how the offense is playing, how your kicking game is at that point, in the field position battle. And then, are you up scores, down scores? Are you trying to create momentum? So there's a lot of things that go into it. And again, forgive me if I don't remember the exact one, but it depends on the situation. If the call stays the same or if the call changes.
Switching gears, how has recruiting been going, and what do you got to do the next couple months to shore this class up and sign them in December?
Yeah, we got to keep recruiting, and we got to use momentum that we gain. We got to stay the course. On Thursday we'll practice Thursday morning. Thursday afternoon, majority of the staff will head out to be in place, and the rest of them will head out on Friday morning. I'll work through the day on Friday and until Friday afternoon. I think I've got three games on Friday night that I'll be at. So full speed ahead.
I guess kind of what do you look for in terms of adjustments from Kevin this week now with a little more time? Is this when you can maybe install a few tweaks or do a little bit more in terms of maybe putting his stamp on kind of what you can do. Obviously, you don't have weeks of preparation, but maybe you can do a few adjustments. Is that kind of your expectation this week?
The biggest thing right now we're doing, and I just walked out of the staff meeting, is more organizational on that side. Just where everyone is on the field, the way he's calling it. We've got multiple signalers. We've got multiple different ways to get calls in. I mean, there's probably 5-6 different ways to get defensive calls in. So just, the organization of those guys, where they're at, the substitutions when they're coming, because we have more personnel groupings on defense that we're using. Just the management of all those things, the organization of all those things, that's a big part of what today is for us as a defensive staff, is getting those things together. How we're going to present the opponent each week, the information we're going to give the kids, the information we're going to show in a unit presentation of the whole defense, what's in the scouting reports, how we're doing corrections, each day, how we're addressing the corrections, practice fundamentals, some of the group work things we're doing. So it's really more of an organizational thing right now that we're focusing on. And then once we get those things really cleaned up today and part of tomorrow, then we'll go into more of the schematic stuff.
You talked about, after the game, about the improved tackling on the defensive side of the ball. It also seemed like there was more guys running to the ball, more gang tackling. What was your impression?
Yeah, I think I said it after the game. I was as pleased and happy for the secondary with the way they tackled. And it's like we've been saying for a few weeks now that go take your shot. Go take your shot. Make the tackle. Don't be afraid to sit there and stutter and have your head down and not make it. You got to trust the other 10 guys are coming. And I think that showed up a lot in the game, that they hit their shots, and we had 5, 6, 7 guys coming to rally around to be at the ball, and that's what defense is. I mean, defense is about how hard you can talk about schematic calls and blitzes and stunts and all that, but at the end of the day, I mean, are those 11 guys going to be around the football every single time and turning, putting their foot in the ground, transitioning to the ball, the effort they play with? So I thought we improved in that. We've got a ways to go with it, but I thought there was improvement.
Coach Key, big picture question. You're 6 games in, and in the space of 8 days, you experienced probably among the lowest of the lows, and now the highest of the highs in 8 days. How is Coach Brent Key doing?
How do I look? Do I look any different? Appreciate that. No, never. I mean, to be honest, you can't get too high and you can't get too low. You really can't. Look, there's 120 kids on this football team that feed off of what I say. Right? There's 55, 60 people on our staff that feed off of what I say. Right? But it's not just what I say; it's how I act. It's how I walk through the door. They're waiting for change. They're waiting to see something different. Right? And I understand that very much so. That's my job. You can't be too high. You can't be too low. And because if you do, the team's going to mimic that. Right? So I've got to put out the impression that it's the same every day of how we're going about our process of building this program. Right? You're not going to see me get overly crazy excited 2 days after a game, 3 days after a game. Right? And same thing with being down in the dumps. Right? Look, that was 20 seconds away from being a different outcome. So are you a different person? I mean, yeah, we're thankful we get to win, right? But the mistakes that are made in a game or the good things that are done in a game, right, those aren't changing based on the score, right? Now, a lot of times when you win a game, people tend to have less bad that they find in the game, right, and more good. Right? But that's the world we live in right now. Everyone wants that, that self-fulfilling, what is it, affirmation, self-affirmation, is that the right thing? Again, y'all know I'm not a grammar person. That's what y'all are for. So it's, but everybody wants that. They want to talk about all the good things, but let's talk about the things we got to get better at, right? Let's talk about the things that led to us having to win on the last play of the game as opposed to, winning by 14. That's the way I look at it. And, there's good things and there's bad things in every game, every single game, and we've got to address them the same way every single week.
Chase Lane, Jordan Williams, think they'll be able to be back next week?
I think so. I do. Jordan was running around out there today. Didn't do the contact today. Stood there with me in the back, and I said, "Dang, Jordan." I said, "You didn't go on the trip this week." I said, "What does that mean?" And he laughed. He goes, "It means I'm on every one from now on." I said, "So it didn't have anything to do with the outcome of the game?" And he was laughing and said he threw his TV through the window. And I said, "Was that before or after the game?" He goes, "Both." So, and Chase, same thing, was out there moving around. It's to the point now with both those guys, it becomes kind of a pain tolerance with them. We're not going to put those guys in any jeopardy to play before they can, but I'm hoping to have both those guys back this week, and that would be a tremendous addition to have both those guys back.
Going back to Jordan, when he does come back, do you see him moving inside, playing outside, or is that really a matter,
Probably slot.
Yeah.
Slot receiver. Might do it both ways, play probably the boundary corner with him.
He's got the moves.
Don't tell him that. No, we'll get the best 5 guys on the field to play when he's back ready to play.
I think one of the things that people don't think about that are fans and follow the program is your personal lives and like things away from football. Do you get a breath to maybe spend time with your family this weekend? Like, are there things you miss? Like things like that go on that you can take this one little break that you have and try to make the most out of?
Yeah, look, I'm very fortunate in that I leave my house every morning and I don't leave before I kiss Harper and Danielle goodbye. Right? It's every morning I'm going to walk through the door at 8 o'clock, 7:59 or 8:01. I mean, depending on how 75 is, but that's a routine that I'm in that I'm not going to change because those two mean the world to me. And last night I got home, I think probably about 7:30. Spent an hour with Harper before I got back to work, and then we'll be out recruiting on Friday. We'll work Friday, be on the road recruiting. Friday night be at games, but then Saturday I look forward to having some pancakes at the house and watching some college football.
Anything else? Okay, appreciate you.
All right, thanks guys. Go Jackets.